Family is sharing their grief tonight after a Grand Rapids mother was shot and killed last week.
According to court records, the suspect is in custody. It's the man she was trying to divorce.
Alicia reportedly locks herself in a bedroom. Marcus told officers he broke down the door, found Alicia crawling out of the bedroom window before he opened fire.
Her mother was tragically murdered. My oldest niece is 22. My nephew is 19, and then her youngest daughter is 14.
And I'm jumped up, what's going on, what's wrong? And she said my sister is gone, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
When she posted her husband's picture in there, a bunch of men had been stating that they had had affairs with him.
Alicia Lofton thought she was marrying the man of her dreams. What she actually married was a ticking time bomb with a secret so explosive that when she discovered it, he decided killing her was better than living with the shame. This is the story of how one woman paid with her life for uncovering her husband's hidden truth. Marcus Lofton put 5 bullets into his wife. He tracked her through their home, broke down a locked door, and shot her as she desperately tried to escape through a window. The divorce papers she'd filed were barely a day old. Her 3 children would come home to a world where their mother no longer existed, all because their stepfather couldn't face being exposed. Before we continue, if real-life family crime grips you, hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and smash subscribe with the bell so you never miss a new case on Fatal Family Network. Today, we're heading to Grand Rapids, Michigan, a city sitting on the Grand River, about 40 miles from Lake Michigan. Known as Furniture City, it's Michigan's second-largest urban center. This thriving Western Michigan community has a reputation for economic strength and cultural diversity. It's where locals and tourists alike find themselves drawn to its unique energy. But beneath this vibrant exterior, a tragedy was about to unfold that would shatter one family forever. Alicia Danielle Lofton was everything a mother should be. She had 3 children who were her entire world, and she poured every ounce of love she had into raising them. Those who knew her described a woman with an infectious spirit, someone who could light up any room she entered. Her gift was making others feel special, bringing laughter when people needed it most. She wasn't just present in her children's lives, she was their anchor. Her oldest daughter was finishing up college, ready to graduate and start her career. Her son had just walked across that high school stage, diploma in hand, with plans to attend Grand Valley State University. The youngest, still in high school, was already making plans for her own graduation. They were a tight-knit unit, and Alicia was the glue holding them all together. Every milestone, every achievement, every struggle, she was there for all of it. But Alicia wanted more than just to be a mother. She believed in partnership, in finding someone to share her life with. She had dreams of being a wife, of building something lasting with the right person. That's when Marcus Lofton entered the picture. Their relationship seemed promising at first. They appeared to complement each other well. Friends saw them as a couple with real potential. When they decided to tie the knot in February, it felt like Alicia was finally getting the complete family life she'd always envisioned. The wedding was everything you'd expect. Family gathered, friends celebrated, and joy filled the air. Everyone who attended left believing they'd witnessed the start of something beautiful. The new Mr. and Mrs. Lofton seemed ready to build their life together. But marriages that look perfect from the outside often hide cracks that only those living inside can see. The honeymoon phase ended fast. Within weeks of exchanging vows, Marcus began showing a different side of himself. His social media became a window into his unraveling mental state. Strange posts started appearing on his Facebook page, cryptic messages that made little sense to those who read them. One particularly telling post read something about how getting locked up meant you might as well end your relationship and find peace. The post grew more erratic, more concerning. Those who followed him online watched as his updates became increasingly unhinged. Something was clearly wrong, but nobody could quite put their finger on what was happening behind closed doors. Then Alicia made a discovery that changed everything. She uncovered evidence that her new husband wasn't just being unfaithful, he was having relationships with other men. The shock must have been overwhelming. The man she'd married, the person she'd trusted with her heart, and brought into her children's lives had been living a complete double life. She confronted him with what she'd found. She had proof, evidence he couldn't deny or explain away. The confrontation was explosive. Marcus tried to gaslight her, to make her doubt what she'd discovered, but Alicia had seen too much. She knew the truth, and there was no going back. Her social media briefly reflected her pain and confusion before her page went dark. Some followers caught her going live, pouring out her heartbreak to anyone who would listen. The woman who'd always been so full of life and laughter was now grappling with a betrayal that cut deeper than anything she'd experienced before. Alicia made her decision quickly. She filed for divorce and told Marcus she was selling their house. The papers were served on August 16th. For Alicia, this was the beginning of her escape from a marriage built on lies. For Marcus, it was the beginning of something much darker. What Alicia didn't know was that Marcus had already shown his capacity for violence. Earlier that year, in May, he'd been arrested for domestic violence against her. The court had ordered him to stay away, to have no contact with his wife whatsoever. But court orders are just pieces of paper to men who believe they own their partners. August 17th arrived like any other summer day in Grand Rapids. Marcus woke up knowing he'd been served divorce papers just 24 hours earlier. He knew Alicia was serious about ending their marriage, about exposing his secrets to the world, and he made a decision that would destroy everything. Despite the no-contact order, despite the legal consequences he faced, Marcus drove to the house. He told himself he just wanted to talk, to work things out. But men who've already crossed the line into violence rarely stop at conversation. The argument started the moment he walked through the door. Voices raised, accusations flew, and the situation escalated with terrifying speed. During their marriage, Marcus had seen Alicia with her gun, a Glock she kept for protection. She'd worn it on her hip in videos. A woman who understood the importance of being able to defend herself. But on this day, her own weapon would be turned against her. Marcus would later tell police his version of what happened next. He claimed he grabbed Alicia's Glock from a drawer, planning only to strike her with it like he'd done before. But the gun went off. An accident, he said. Just one of those things that happen when you're waving a loaded weapon at your wife. Alicia ran. Whatever Marcus's intentions had been when he walked through that door, the sound of that first gunshot changed everything. She knew this wasn't going to end with bruises this time. Her survival instincts kicked in and she bolted for the nearest room, slamming the door behind her and turning the lock. Her hands were probably shaking as she realized the truth. Her husband had come here to kill her. Behind that locked door, Alicia made a desperate choice. The window. It was her only way out. She pushed it open and started climbing through. But Marcus wasn't done. The locked door might as well have been made of paper. He smashed through it like a man possessed, wood splintering under his rage. And there she was, his wife, the mother of 3 children, halfway out the window, trying to save her own life. Marcus raised the gun again. This time, there would be no accidents. The shots came in rapid succession. Each bullet found its mark as Alicia's body fell from the window. He stood there, looking down at what he'd done, at the woman who dared to leave him, who'd threatened to expose his secrets to the world. Then he walked out of that house, got in his car, and drove away like he'd just finished running errands. The silence that followed must have been deafening. Alicia Lofton was gone. Her body lay beneath that window, her escape attempt ending in the worst possible way. The 911 calls started coming in that morning. Neighbors had heard the gunshots, that unmistakable sound that means someone's life has likely ended. Grand Rapids police raced to Union Avenue Southeast, but they already knew they were probably too late. When gunshots echo through a residential neighborhood at 8 in the morning, it rarely ends well. Officers found exactly what they feared. The broken bedroom door told part of the story. The open window told another part. And Alicia's body, bearing multiple gunshot wounds to her head and torso, told the rest. This wasn't a crime of passion or a momentary loss of control. This was an execution. Marcus hadn't gone far. When police caught up with him, he didn't run. He didn't resist. Instead, he confessed. He told them about the divorce papers, about the argument, about grabbing the gun. He told them how he'd chased her, broken down the door, found her trying to escape. He told them how he'd kept shooting until he was sure she couldn't leave him anymore. Alicia's death was exactly what it appeared to be, a domestic murder committed by a man who couldn't accept rejection. The news hit the community like a thunderbolt. Local reporters rushed to cover the story, trying to make sense of another senseless act of domestic violence. Camera crews set up outside the house where Alicia had died, capturing footage of investigators processing the scene, of yellow tape blocking off the area where children used to play. Alicia's sister got the call that would haunt her forever. Her best friend was hysterical on the other end of the line, barely able to form words through her sobbing.
Her best friend called me and was literally hysterical. And I jumped up, what's going on, what's wrong? And she said, my sister is gone. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, like, I just talked to my sister a couple days ago. What are you talking about? I get here, she's already gone.
When she finally understood what had happened, Alicia's sister couldn't process it. She'd just spoken to Alicia days earlier. Everything had seemed, if not fine, at least manageable. Divorce was painful, but it wasn't supposed to be deadly.
My sister was fun. She was goofy. She liked to go out, have a good time, very well dressed. She loved her kids, make sure her kids was intact and ordered before she did anything.
By the time she arrived at the scene, it was over. The investigators were there, the body was there, but Alicia, the real Alicia, the one who made everyone laugh, who dressed impeccably, who put her children before everything else, was already gone. Her sister stood there, unable to cry anymore, trying to understand how domestic violence had claimed another victim, how her sister had become another statistic. The details that emerged painted a clear picture. This wasn't Marcus's first act of violence against Alicia. The May arrest for domestic violence showed a pattern of abuse. The no-contact order he'd violated meant he'd already been warned to stay away. The system had tried to protect Alicia, but paper barriers don't stop bullets. Investigators didn't need to look hard for motive. The divorce papers told them everything. Alicia had discovered her husband's secret life, his relationships with men that he'd hidden throughout their marriage.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Come on, bring it in.
I'm coming, bro.
I'm coming, that bitch doing a bachata.
For Marcus, being exposed was apparently a fate worse than prison, so he chose murder instead. The community struggled to understand. Those who knew the couple remembered the wedding just months earlier, the joy on Alicia's face as she'd finally found her partner. Now they had to reconcile those memories with the reality of her violent death. The same man who'd promised to love and cherish her had hunted her down and killed her for trying to leave. As word spread through Grand Rapids, people who'd never met Alicia found themselves affected by her story. Here was a mother just trying to protect herself and her children from a dishonest relationship. Her only crime was discovering the truth and acting on it. And for that, Marcus Lofton had sentenced her to death. Marcus Dorea Lofton stood before the judge on August 18th, less than 48 hours after he'd murdered his wife.
There was discussion that you and Alicia were going to get divorced, correct?
Yes.
Did you shoot her to stop the divorce?
No. I actually filed for the, I'm the one that asked for the divorce.
Okay, so you instigated the divorce?
After, in May, after the situation with the domestic situation, I asked her for a divorce without the paper, and I filled out the papers.
The charges were straightforward: open murder and felony firearm. In Michigan, open murder means the jury decides whether it's first or second degree. But everyone in that courtroom knew what this was. You don't accidentally shoot someone 5 times. You don't accidentally break down a door to continue shooting. You don't accidentally hunt your wife as she tries to crawl through a window to safety. No bond. The judge's decision was swift and absolute. Marcus Lofton would wait for trial behind bars, where he could no longer harm anyone else, where he could sit with the knowledge that his secret, the one he'd killed to protect, was now splashed across every news outlet in Grand Rapids. The man who'd posted cryptic messages about relationships ending if you get locked up was now living his own prophecy. Except Alicia wasn't around to cancel anything. She was gone, and he was the reason why. 3 empty chairs would mark every major moment in the Lofton children's lives from now on. The Lofton case became another grim reminder of a truth we already know too well. Domestic violence doesn't always build slowly. Sometimes it explodes in a single moment of rage when an abuser realizes they've lost control. Marcus couldn't control Alicia's decision to divorce him. He couldn't control her discovery of his double life. So he controlled the only thing left, whether she lived or died. The warning signs had been there: the May arrest, the strange social media posts, the escalating behavior that led to a no-contact order. But warning signs only work if the person they're warning about chooses to stop. Marcus Lofton made a different choice. Alicia's family set up a GoFundMe to help her children with school expenses. It was a small gesture in the face of an enormous loss, but it was something. The community that had been shocked by her death now rallied to support the 3 young people she'd left behind. Money couldn't replace their mother, but maybe it could help them achieve the dreams she'd been so proud to watch them pursue. In the end, Alicia Lofton's story isn't just about domestic violence or hidden secrets or the moment a marriage turned deadly. It's about a woman who loved her children fiercely, who tried to build a life with someone who turned out to be a stranger, and who paid the ultimate price for refusing to live a lie. She deserved to see her daughter walk across that college stage. She deserved to help her son settle into his dorm room. She deserved to zip up her youngest daughter's prom dress and tell her how beautiful she looked. She deserved to grow old surrounded by grandchildren who would have adored her infectious laugh and generous spirit. Instead, she became another name on the too long list of women murdered by intimate partners. Another mother, whose children have to navigate life's milestones without her. Another reminder that leaving an abusive relationship is often the most dangerous time. Marcus Lofton sits in prison now, his secrets exposed to the world anyway. The thing he killed to prevent happened regardless. Alicia is still gone. Her children are still motherless. And somewhere in Grand Rapids, 3 young people are learning to live with a hole in their lives that will never fully heal. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out for help. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7. Because every Alicia deserves the chance to escape. Every child deserves to keep their mother. And no secret is worth a human life. Family should be a refuge, but even the closest ties can fracture. Stay alert, look out for one another, and reach out if you sense danger. See you in the next story here on Fatal Family Network. Thanks for watching.